Hey, everybody, welcome back to Gardens the Untold Story. I'm your host, Ken Somerville, my co host, Andy Lopez, the Invisible Gardener. Today, we're going to be talking about starting your own organic soil care services. But Andy, before we do that, you said we should actually bring up I'm being interviewed this Friday on Shawnee Grows channel. Let me just bring up the link, guys. I put it into the live chat so you guys can copy the link, go over and click on remind me so that you get the notification for Friday's show. But it's 8 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Mountain, 6 o'clock Pacific. And yeah, Shawnee said, notify me. And guys, put the thumbs up. And Shawnee's got some fantastic information that she's putting out, guys. So don't ever hesitate to follow her channel and learn from her as well. So, Andy, how are we doing today? You've been sick with that California smoke and the contaminants. We were talking earlier, you've got a meter that you have to carry around when you're going out to your customers to test the air to see if you even want to go to that customer because it just makes you sick. So, you want to start your own lawn service or organic service. Is that something that you really should have?
When you're in an environment that things are burning down, I mean, there are more toxins in people's homes and in their garage than in an army would have, because you got things in there that just should not be burned, from whether they have Roundup or whether they have all kinds of stuff in there. And so when it burns, it really causes a problem. And then the building material that the house is made of, whether it be, when they burn, they cause. So it's been going on for quite a while here in Malibu. It hasn't been just recently. It's been going on for quite a few years. And people often will call me. I talked to somebody just today. Can you come out and check on my tree? I think it's dying. What should I do? And I said, call me back in a year.
The air itself is just toxic. They're saying that it's not, but it truly is, and your meter proves it.
So I was dry. I went. Another person that called me just a few days ago, maybe a few weeks ago, I think it was. What fire was in February, March. It was in January, I think it was.
Yeah,
fires, right? So I got somebody called me in February. Here's what happened. So I have a customer who's in Brentwood, right next door to Pacific Palisades. And she has on a hill, so you can see the whole place burning. She said, "Oh my God, we have to leave!" And here comes the fire. Well, she left, and they stopped the fire before they got to her. So I said, he said, "Can you come out?" And I said, "Okay." So I stopped. First of all, I had to prove that I had somebody there, and I still have to go get a passport. But I got this device out. I'm driving, and the device tells you several. I also have a Geiger counter, by the way. Okay, Geiger counter.
You need it in California, yeah.
That's a long story too. But so the device tells you two different things. To measure two different types of particles. One, the very, very tiny one, and one slightly larger. The slightly larger one you can eliminate from your body because it doesn't go into your body. You can expel it from your lungs, and there's treatments that you can do to get. But the tiny ones, they're super microscopic. They go right through your cell walls, through your skin, to your blood, into your brain, and it sort of sits there and causes all kinds of problems. You just think of cadmium, arsenic, mercury, all these things.
Andy,
yes, sir.
Is that you didn't have that meter that before, or maybe that's what happened to you? All those particles going. Sorry, I have to, brother.
I got the meter back about 20 years ago when there was a big fire here all over the place. I got that because people will call me, "Come here, take a look at my tree." And I was as I got out of the car and I was walking slowly. I was starting to get dizzy. Every step I would get dizzy. I go, "Oh!" And I had the little mask,
Mm-hmm.
And so I was so dizzy. I said, "I don't think I'm going to go any further." And so the first thing I did, went back to Amazon and I ordered this thing. Yeah, and it tells you, warning. There's actually a point where it says you're dead. Just forget it. Just
curl up and dig your own hole.
It's not going to help you. But and it's a really tough scenario because you want to help people, arborists, that people don't understand. There's so much toxic everywhere, and under normal conditions, if we didn't have all these toxins, your soil will be so healthy. Nothing's going to kill it, right? But it's constantly being bombarded with toxins, all kinds of chemicals, right? Constant. It's starting with the city water. The stuff they put in the city water is like, you shouldn't even be drinking it, right? You shouldn't be drinking it. It kills your plants if you water your plant. Try to water. I have a filter for my garden because that stuff kills the biology in the soil. It literally does.
Yeah.
On a regular basis. The worms die from it. And then of course you're adding normal people, quote normal people, right? They use the chemical fertilizer. They love the R up thing, the round, right? That one. I'm not mentioning any names. I don't want you to get in trouble. But then they use all kinds of chemicals, from pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, all this kind of stuff. The approach has been all wrong. The approach has been buy this. Just like the doctors, right? Hey, keep eating the junk food you want to. See you every week. Right? Or take this pill. And it's the same thing with the gardening or healthcare of the soil. It's like, you got weeds? Spray this. Or you have a disease? Spray that. Doesn't even focus, doesn't even mention, maybe we should do something with the soil because everything's growing in there, right? They don't even say a word about that. And that's what got me going when I was a kid. I'm going, I love the commercials, eat this, and you can eat all you want to, just take this pill. Or you can, and I'm going, And so I immediately keyed into, because the gardeners don't even know. They should be your first line of defense, right? The gardener should be the person that's taking care of your soil. It shouldn't be a gardener. It should be a soiler, right? Soiler. Yeah. Something like that. Soil health specialist. So when I attended, I actually taught a class at the Master Gardening's when they had a Master Gardening course, and you got a certificate that says you're a Master Gardener. This was in 1970. I was one of the people in Florida, in Gainesville, that University of Florida, that I would be teaching this very same thing, like I'm talking right now. Soil health is everything that if you get into that, you'll be surprised how everything else falls into place. And that was in the early 70s. And they don't have organic master gardeners, just master gardeners. These master gardeners are like, they're actually taught a lot of cultural things, a proper way to plant, proper way to take care of your plants, pruning. They mention compost and they mention mulch, and they mention a bunch of organic things, but they're not entirely 100% organic because they're sponsored and paid for by the chemical companies. They can't. One of the reasons why hail microbes. One of the reasons why I told you the University of Florida that I would be happy to teach a totally master organic gardeners class from how to be an organic arborist, how to take care of your soil, everything.
Yeah.
But and the same thing happened here, because here in there's a new Santa Monica College right down the road from me, and I went to them. I told them this University of Florida the very same thing, and they told me, look, we can't do that because at the moment you say chemicals are bad, we're going to lose our funding. They're not going to give us any more money. As soon as you say Roundup is bad, or this chemical is bad, or that chemical is bad, the soil health, it's like, that's not going to work because we need their funding.
Yeah. It's all about the money.
Right. It's all about the money. So I started my business. I'll go back a few steps. In the sixth grade. Sixth to the ninth grade. By the ninth grade, I had gone through. I'm not going to say I have 150 customers, just to say I went through them.
Yeah. Okay.
At that time, I wasn't really keying into doing something on a monthly basis and recycling. Having the customers come. I was just, people kept coming because they will walk by my parents' house, and I would be out there gardening. What the hell are you doing here? To talk to him, you know what I mean? So they would say, come to my place and do it too. And I charged $25 an hour then as a kid. He said, my God, you're expensive. Now it's $200 an hour, and I basically go up every 10 years. Now I'm maxed out at $200, but it's because I make money from selling my microbial liquids which I used to spray. I learned. So I started in the 6th grade. By the 9th grade, I had gone through variety of customers, and I still, I think 9th grade. So I ended up going to the service after the 9th grade. I got out. I told them I was 18. I was 17. I think it was junior college. No, I didn't go through junior college. When I went to the when I went to high school, it's when I went straight into the service after that. So I was, some reason, I think I was 17 in the 9th grade. Does that make sense? Maybe it does, huh? Right? I don't know. Right?
I don't know.
So I have the copyright to Don't Panic, It's Organic, because people would see. So my idea was, and I started reading Organic Gardening Magazine, Rodale Organic Gardening Magazine.
Yeah.
And the very first time I picked it up, it said, "You feed the soil." And I'm going, wait a minute. This is not right. You don't feed the soil, you're feeding the plants. Okay, you can't. This guy can't tell me you feed the soil, you feed the plants. And so I read more. The more I read, he says, you feed the soil, and the soil will feed the plants.
And now we know if you feed the biology, it's the biology that'll feed the biology in the plant and grow the plant.
Right. So I've only got turned on to it's the biology through you, because I was always calling microbes, right? I was always saying feed the soil. Feed the soil. What's wrong with you people? Right? And so you're not really feeding the soil. It's like feeding the condominiums. You're not feeding the homes. You're feeding the creatures that are living in the condominium. That's the biology. Amen to this day, I get people that, what do you mean biology? What the hell are you talking about? And it's like they're not listening. They're not going to listen because they don't think that the soil the soil is not a living thing. The soil is just like the city is not a living thing. It's the people living in the city.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't say the soil is a living thing. It's a biology living in the soil that's a living thing. You see, slightly a little different thing. And so I've learned to tell people that because you just doing this show. It's all about the biology. It really, truly is. It makes it very simple. And people just, wait a minute, there's biology in the soil?
Just like there's biology in your gut. Yeah,
exactly right. And so I've gotten the saying down more. And one of the things that's really good about people listening to these shows is they have to, when you do a business, you have to be good at what you're doing, right? But you also have to be really, really good at explaining to them why what they're doing is screwed up and they need to change it. Like you can't go to a cocaine addict and say, "Excuse me, you know that's bad for you, right?" You know
exactly. Yeah.
So it has to be a combination of that person has to want to do it. And nowadays it's really simple because they go out and buy organic food, right? So it's organic, right? I even have an organic garden. So the term organic gardening and stuff like that is more out there now than ever before. But they still don't understand that the real thing that they're doing is taking care of the biology. Yeah. See, that's the thing. It's like a doctor. Instead of a plant doctor, you have a soil doctor. So I know a person who that's his business called Soil Doctor. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't really deal with biology. And I'm going, that's just the name, right? Yeah. You see what I'm saying, right? It was just a name. Because I said, Soil Doctor, cool. Tell me about it. Oh, I plant this, I grow this. And then he uses a standard organic fertilizers and organic systems. If you can spray garlic or you can spray this organic and that organic, but it doesn't mention anything about how to keep the biology alive. That's why I like calling it soil health. Yeah. But it really should be biology health, soil biology health. And as a matter of fact, I might just go back to all these different places where I have soil health up there and do soil biology health, because it's not really soil health. It's like I'm not in the condominium health business. I'm in the people who live in the condominium health business.
Well,
right?
Andy, if it's doesn't have biology in it, just call it dirt. And soil has life in it, so it's a living soil versus dirt, which is dead. That's what you're stepping on. Is dead dirt. No, we do have a question here.
Oh, no.
Let's talk about how the soil can tell us about existence. Any word on that?
Oh
want to
man,
take that one first,
you
Noah?
don't want to get me started on that because this whole thing as above, so below, and it's literally true. So
Yeah.
below is what the soil, what's living organisms in the soil, and you have to understand that it's like one of the things that I actually started a church because there's no other way to really put it, because it's really has to deal with existence, right? It has to deal with different levels of the universe and all that kind of stuff. And so the micro and the macro are very interesting topics right there. So when you have what's going on in the biology of the soil is identical to what's going on in the universe.
And in our bodies and in the animals'
Exactly.
bodies. Yeah.
Exactly right. They're all to different degrees, right? That happen. So once you learn about the existence of the soil biology, you also have to learn about the existence of your own biology and your stomach and your body. And then when you realize the biology is all around you, so you have to expand your awareness of the existence of the. I'm sorry, guys, this is going to end up being more than how to take care of your own soil care business, but you basically get the idea. It says you want to, you it's a consciousness thing. You come to the realization that everywhere you look, you're going to see biology, or you should. If you're in a place there's no biology, you're not in the right place. You're talking about some other planet that doesn't have any biology. That may be possible, but here on Earth, you can't breathe in without. A Buddhist monk told me there's no way that you can walk without killing something, or
That's right.
live without
Or
killing
breathe.
anything. Right. Every time you breathe in, you're killing all kinds of organisms, biology in your body. Every time you take a walk, you're stepping on things. I used to try to walk around the ants or have a little, how like people direct traffic. Wait a minute, ants are crossing. No, it's all kinds of creatures that we destroy.
Yeah.
And so it comes down to the when a person has a conscious awakening, they will gravitate to they automatically know about biology. They automatically know about soil biology and soul biology, soul, SOUL, soil. I often gravitate with those two because they're interconnected in so many different ways. People say, wait, does the biology, the soil, do they have a soul? The little biology, little creatures in there, do they have a soul? I'm happy to talk about that because it expands our awareness. But when you have a customer, see, the best customers are those that already have this experience. I go, oh my God, I have to take better care of the soil biology, right? Then rather than those people that says just come and spray, because I get that call every day. Tree has this, come and spray, or I have an ant problem. I tell them, you don't have an ant problem, you have a soil biology problem, right?
Yeah.
So a big part of this is really education. But the more you learn, that's why, for example, I know that. Let's see, what is her name again? Her name is maybe it's up here somewhere. Wait a second.
Person that asked the question?
Yeah. The lady that you're going to be getting interviewed by.
Oh, Shawnee Grows.
Yeah, I know that Shawnee's going to invite me on as a guest. I know that. And I want her to be on as a guest on my show. But people, so in order to have, first of all, you have to be into it. You have to be the best soil health specialist ever. You know what I mean? You really have to be into it. You have to be fanatic about it. Because everything you do is based upon, believe it or not, it's killing your soil biology, okay? Okay, fine. I don't have to, I can wait. It depends if we get burned down or not. But
Andy,
yes,
can I add into this conversation quickly, guys? What you need to understand is our physical structures, whether that's plant, animal, or us, we are just a bag of biology, okay? The biology runs this system that is my body. Our soul, our energy field, our aura, however you want to describe it, is only attached to this form. And we attach to these forms for the main purpose of knowledge and understanding, to go through the experiences of life, to take our soul or our energy to a higher vibration and frequency. So the construct okay, is Earth and the biology and the organic things on our planet. But the true reason we exist is to experience, to grow, to learn, to help each other. And in doing that, we promote who we are on a much higher energetic plane. That's why I tell people, stay positive, put out positive energy, and the whole world is going to be better.
I totally believe that everything has anything. See, our definition of what's alive needs to be updated.
Yeah.
I totally believe that what you call a rock is alive because it has a biology of its own kind. Trees are, of course, alive, but to me, they also have a consciousness that goes with them.
Yep.
Everything, and even the earth as a whole is one biological living being.
A collective consciousness.
Exactly right, right. And so, but I don't want to get too far carried away because we can have a show on that entirely. But so the first thing you want to do is you want to be able to find something that you can do real easy that will encourage the soil biology to grow well, and then learn how to manipulate that, manufacture it for your customers. So I started off by making the best compost on the whole planet, because when you make your own compost, that is the best compost ever, right? This is the best compost. You can't buy anything better, And I was doing like 100 bags a month, 40-pound bags, and I was fanatic about it. And from there, I was making my teas. I invented a product called Super Seaweed, because what I wanted to do was I realized that the soil biology is just not functioning. We're destroying it to the point there's nothing there. You know what happens when the good guys leave?
Everything dies.
The bad guys show up.
Okay. The thing is, Andy, and I've had and seen a biological collapse in my grow where the one day the plant was nice and green and healthy, and the next day it was dead. That's a complete biological collapse in a soil system where there's life there and then it's just dead, period. And that could literally happen on our planet, guys. If we're walking on that edge of the cliff as a species on this planet. That's one of the reasons I am so into sharing this knowledge and giving it for free. And that's why Andy is doing it. That's why Leighton is doing it. That's where, people all over our planet are sharing this kind of information, because we can stop that collapse, bring our planet back from that edge and make it better. It's if we put our focus on growing the biology in our soil that goes into the plants, that goes into us, everybody starts reaching that genetic potential where then we can use our minds, our soul, our spirit to go to that next level. But Andy, the whole spirit was supposed to be on, starting your own organic soil care. So maybe we could, you've talked about where to start, and that's a knowledge base.
Right.
So where do we go after we have a certain amount of knowledge?
So it's really very, very simple. So I would suggest you get involved with something really simple to start with, like make good compost. So if you make good compost, you already have a good basis for a good organic business to work with, because the compost is the key to everything. You can make a tea from it. You can I put it in the ground. When I did my service, it was a combination of two things. One, I would bring compost to their property and blend it in with the soil and get that process going. And then I would spray my liquids to further feed the biology, because that's why it's called microbiological activator. See? Basically it's all the nutrients, 96 different trace minerals, and in various different forms that you're feeding the body. So right there, you have yourself a dynamite business. You make the best compost and you make the best liquid tea that you can spray. And that's your combination business right there. You, of course, have to have some knowledge of when something's sick, when the trees are sick, what's going on, how to help that process. because it's a slow process to go from a totally dead environment to a living environment. So you have to, that's one reason why I do foliar spray. The key here is to do a foliar spraying, because then you can spray the biology onto the leaves of the plants and the trunks, and also to soak into the ground. That's the fastest way they're going to get their nutrients, and at the same time, you're encouraging the growth. But if provided that you provide, because you can't just go to a place and spray because there's nothing there. I mean, they'll absorb the nutrients, but they're not going to help the root systems to grow. Yeah. The biology is not going to be down there, because normally you have the different types of biology that inhabit the root systems that transfer stuff over from one medium to another medium, see, right, to make it available to the plant. And so you have to assume, because very rarely do I get calls when the place is like full of worms, it's full of biology, and they would say, "What do you think?" And they wouldn't call me. They would only call me when there's nothing there, when things are dying. Yeah. So you have to, and so you have to tell them, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring your soil back to life. I'm going to bring the biology back to life, and this is how we're going to do it. But you have to deal with it too, because you can't keep doing all these things they're killing. You have to stop your chemical fertilizer. You have to stop with the pesticides. You have to get a whole property filtration system. You have to teach them the whole thing. And they if they're not into, because that's the key to success. Because I learned that the gardeners that they hire will be bringing all this junk and using it. Just the other day, somebody was trying to talk. One of the gardeners, the boss of the gardeners at one of my customers, was saying, we have an ant problem. We need to spray this. And the guy was saying, no, this is an organic place. We're not going to do it. And they don't relate to the ant problem being a soil problem. Let's just kill the ants. So you're going to be doing all kinds of pest control. It all relates to the health of the soil. So the key is, the healthier you make the soil, the living soil, and you provide an environment that they're going to survive in, because you just can't go once and say, oh, I'm done. That's why it's a repetitive thing. You got to go on a regular basis every month. And when something's sick, you have to feed it on a regular basis too, to help it recover. You have to do it like when the bottle is hanging, you have to give them that. At the same time, you have to help the biology in their stomach recover when this person's sick. So basically, you set up a system that makes it real simple. All you have to do is make the best compost, make a liquid with it. The liquid should have 96 trace minerals in it, should have our various different forms of mycorrhiza, whatever else you can get your hands on. There's lots of different ways you can do that. Not that difficult nowadays. You can just type in soil biology, and wham, you're going to get all kinds of microbes, all kinds of things you can buy. The problem there is some of it's good, some of it's bad. That's why the other guys, Layton and company, you can go on the show and say, what about this? Anybody can come on this show and say, I bought this. What do you think? And I would tell you, even though I may get in trouble of saying that's crap, right? You can't use that, right?
Like bugs in a jug. Oh, did I say that out loud? We do have a question, Andy. Yeah. We'll jump off that. This is pretty awesome idea. What would one charge for this kind of service? Okay, so let me just tell you my experience. I started $25 an hour as a kid when I was before I went into service. When I got out of the service, I don't really charge per hour. Here's the secret. Here's the key to it. This is not a per hour thing. It's a per treatment thing. Yeah. So the way I work is I'll say, okay, this is the size of your property, and this is how much liquid you're going to get. So I have a 100-gallon sprayer. Now, I charge a lot more than you can get away with, because where I live, people have $1 million homes, $1 billion homes, right? So it's big, giant properties. So the amount you charge should be relative to where you live, and how much people could pay for it. Fortunately, it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg to get this together. The biggest thing would be to buy a sprayer. It's important to get a sprayer that's for compost production, for spraying, not the chemical sprayer, because it wouldn't, otherwise it would kill the biology. They would not make it through. You want a sprayer that uses a diaphragm instead of a metal pump. A diaphragm. Yeah, not an impeller pump, a diaphragm pump. So it pushes the biology and it doesn't chop it up.
Right, right.
So Andy, basically what you need is a pickup truck, a tank, a pump, hosing,
Yeah.
hand sprayers. I know you were talking about you have one of the implements that you push down into the ground
Yeah.
that sprays out of that. So, what other implements are really necessary to help people on their property?
So you want a deep roof feeder. You can buy any of those in the store. It's a deep roof feeder. You hook up to your hose and you put it down. So what I do is I put a little valve on it. So one of the things I want to say is Acres USA, acresusa.com. It's an old farmer's place. They sell all different kinds of spraying rigs you would love. That's where I would get my spraying rig from, because you can buy a lot of them on the market these days. But these guys make it specifically. So a lot of them will come with aerator already, so you can aerate your liquid. They're made with the right pumps and the right tips, because if your spray gun's too small, the biology couldn't get through. It has to be large enough to allow them through. So you can buy an equipment that'll fit to your truck. I would use a 100-gallon sprayer, but you also should get a 25-gallon little electric sprayer that you can use instead of a pump, you can use around to spray a little bit. That's your main equipment with a deep roof feeder on there that you can use. And so you need the deep roof feeder, so you want to get the liquids down into the root system, down in there. So you want to learn how to use that. So that's basically all the tools that you really need. You also need, if you're making compost, whatever setup you're going to do for making your compost, and whatever setup you're going to need for making your liquid. I myself, as I get older, I don't longer make compost anymore. I just get people to buy the compost from people like Layton. So so if you're good at, because if you're young enough, you can do it all. But if you really just want to concentrate on the liquid, and if you know somebody that makes really the best compost, you make a deal with them. And you get enough for you to make your liquid, but you also get the people to go to him and buy the compost. Because the key to the service has to be, the condos have to be available for the biology to move in. If there's no condo there, you can spray all you want to, the biology will die. They'll be running around going, die, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So once you set up that system, and again, the amount you charge would depend where you're at. So I charge a lot of money because I live in Malibu, and these people's homes are giant places, and it's very expensive to live here. So everything is expensive. But I remember in Florida, I was charging 1/3 the amount. So you charge what you feel is correct for you, feels good for you. If it feels like you're charging too much, then you're charging too much. It's okay. The law says you can make 300% profit on it.
Okay, and guys, all you have to do, call around. Like if you're in a local city, call around to the local lawn care companies and see what they're charging, and base your pricing on what they're charging, because they're making money and being able to stay open year after year. So and they're using chemicals, they're buying chemicals. You want to be making your own stuff, which is a lot cheaper. You can make a lot more money, but charge the same basic rate that they are. Don't try to undercut them by huge amounts, because that only creates problems. And then you're also undervaluing what you're doing. And David's, I'm from Stony Plain, just outside of Edmonton. I've been up to Fort Mac enough times, brother. Good to see you on the channel.
So listen, I appreciate what you're saying there, but I would say something a little different. Okay, first of all, they do a lawn, or maybe they might spray your roses. They don't spray the whole property; they'll spray a lawn. So when I started doing this, I said, okay, I can spray your lawn. But then I started saying, wait a minute, because what's the point of spraying the lawn if the rest of the property is toxic? Because eventually it'll.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I tell people, you want me to heal your finger, you got to do the whole body. Mm-hmm. So a lot of these chemical companies, they get chemicals for hardly nothing, and they'll spray a lawn. So the lawn might be $100. So if you're going to spray the lawn for $100, that's not a whole lot of money, and especially since you're really going to spray the whole property. So I used to say lawn spraying or rose spraying. You can do that, but you really should say, this is what it costs you for the whole property. You want the finger to be healed, you have to do the whole you have to do the whole body. Right? You have to do your whole body. So that's the key to it. And there's no comparison. If you have a lawn company charges $100, you're not going to. You shouldn't charge $100. You should charge what you feel is the right amount for you, regardless. If you want to charge yourself, the only reason why I can charge a lot because I've been doing it for a long time. I have a whole bunch of books. I have a name recognition. I have a bunch of followers here. People know I know what's, and I can prove it. But when you're first starting something, right, you can say, well, I think I can heal. I can help your whole property. Your first customer is going to be like, so what I would do is somebody comes along and say, okay, just try to figure out what they can afford to pay and what you're willing to work. You have to basically say, look, this is my first customer, so let's work something out because I know it's going to work. If it doesn't work, then you're not going to be happy. So I want to do the right thing for you. So I might even just do it for free, just to get something on the done, so I can show something.
It's kind of like setting up a portfolio. You think of all these people that do modeling; they go out and they keep pictures upon pictures upon pictures to show the different variety of things that they can do. So, Andy, that's a wonderful idea. People can go and help your local seniors that are having issues. Go out, help them. They'll showcase your stuff if all of a sudden their lawns are beautiful and their gardens are beautiful.
Do it for schools. Do it for vet centers. I used to donate my time all the time for the garden clubs. Go there and help them out. And then, of course, for tree, you want to always key into trees and roses, everything. But do it before, during, and after. So that's the first thing you do. This is what it looks like before, and here we are doing the work, and this is what it looks like after. And this is what it looks like when they screw up. This is right. You want to have all that documented on a regular basis. And as you get better, your name will precede you. That guy is really good at this. And so I'm not really doing it for the money, but you need to make the money. And if I say I charge you $1, they'll say, okay, fine, $1. So you have to charge what your knowledge and experience tells you. And as you get more and more, when I started charging $25 an hour, and that was a lot of money in those days for a kid to be charging. But I had major goose nuts, major whatever you call them, right, to say this is what I want because I felt. I already had years of experience in my parents' garden, right? You know what I mean? When the people say, well, can you come over to my place? I'll say, right, $25 an hour. Wait a minute, I'm not going to pay you $25 an hour. Yes, you are if you want me to do it. Because I already knew.
You little rotten kid, you're ripping us off here.
I already knew that I was good at it. So if you're good at this, if you think you have the ability for gardening and all that stuff, and you're good at it, and you already have something to good. I would think it'd be easier to start this business if you're even doing organic gardening here, for your home. Look what I do here. I can do that for you. That would be easy. But if you don't have that, you're going to be hard pressed. So provide the service for all these places, and the people will see that. That's what you want to do. And you'll find then as you get better and better at it, you're going to start charging more and more for it.
Yeah. Now we do have a couple of questions, Andy. So
I hate questions. Okay, fine.
Okay, well, this one here. What's your thought on soil moisture sensors?
Here's my soil moisture sensor. Okay, so there are many soil moisture sensors on the market. Some are really good, and they actually have them. So the deep root feeder is about 2 feet. So they have a soil measure sensor that you screw down into the ground, goes in 2 feet, so it gives you the level of the moisture down in there. And so those are good, but after a while you don't really need that. You can say there's no soil down there. The moisture sensor is not going to show up anything. And so what I did is I invented, and this is what you got to do. You basically have to create your own tool. So I invented tree vents. So I call them tree vents. A way to get moisture down, the biology down to 2 or 3 feet below the surface. So I call them tree vents. And it's in one of my books, Natural Pest Control Alternatives with Chemicals for the Home and Garden, which, by the way, just throw it in. Any of you guys want you can get the ebook immediately when you email me, but what I want you to do is sign up in the newsletter and hit the inquiry, do the inquiry form. Hey, I saw you on this. It's all about the biology. Send me my books, and I'll send you 2 books the Natural Pest Control Alternatives to Chemicals for the Home Garden, and the latest one, Don't Panic, It's Organic. These are ebooks. You're going to get them and use that as a manual, because it's the first one, Alternatives to Chemicals, basically says you can spray garlic, you can spray this, or you can spray more biology. So that's what you want to learn of the alternative systems, because you have to treat a patient. When you first go to a property, it's a patient. I don't want anybody to die here. It's going to be a while before the soil biology comes back. And in the interim, you got to take care of your patient. So that's what foliar feeding is. You want to get really very good at making the best liquid that you can give to them. And I'm more than happy to get into details down the road. We can even do that. I'm going to be doing something on my channel on a regular basis too. So you can talk to me, and you have to learn how to make. So there's lots of liquids you can make that are absolutely amazing and work wonderful, but they're only a temporary, because you can have injection of food, but if you don't have your stomach working, you're going to die slowly. It's not going to work.
Well, Plant Daddy says, I love that concept of the soil being a patient. And that's really what it is, because our soils are on life support right now. That's why we have to do the foliar first to save the tree or the plant, so they can survive while we work in surgery on the soil.
Healing takes time. Healing takes time. Yep. I tell one lady, you gotta love this lady. She says, okay, so you can come and do this, and then we're done, right? You don't have to do any more. Everything be perfect. And I go, no. Do you go to a doctor and say, I have cancer, and the doctor says, okay, take this pill, you're done, everything's perfect? No. Healing takes time. And if you teach people that the soil, it's just a name that we give to this colony of living beings that live in the ground. and it turns out to be soil. That's the whole structure of Mother Nature made it. Let's call it soil. I don't know who the first person to call it soil, but basically it's a structure that's in the ground, living organisms, colony of it. It's a colony, massive amounts of living organisms, all interactive together. And that's what you want to do, is that when they're sick, it's because of the toxins that they're getting. And so you have to, of course, tell the customers, you got to stop doing these things. You have to stop doing this. No, you can't keep cutting down the weeds. No, you can't keep cutting everything and taking it away. You have to stop that. So it's a lot of bad habits you have to get these people off of.
Yeah, let's get back to the other question, and we got another one that came in as well.
Oh, boy.
Question for Andy: is there any licensing needed for this in California?
You're not using any chemicals. You're not using anything at all. So I get stopped all the time.
You don't need insurance, like, for going on other people's properties?
It depends. If you're dealing with a private owner, no. And then it also depends too, because I deal with private owners that have multi-million-dollar homes, and you have to have liability insurance in case you kill everything. I just started a job with this HOA. They had 900 trees and they lost 300 of them. And they said they saw my sign. The lady bought the book, so I'm now going there. But I had to buy $1 million liability insurance, which is not so big. It's like $100 a month, $200, something like that, just in case. I go there and the guys hurt themselves, or something happened, or the building gets on fire, or the tree dies. So but with the private customers, you don't have to do any of that. You don't need a license. I get stopped regularly. Let me see your spray, your chemical license of these. Everything I tell you, everything's a chemical, but these are all organic. This is worm juice over here that I'm spraying, and I don't need a license to be able to spray worm juice or compost tea or any of that stuff. Like, you don't need a license.
I think, guys, check it for in your local municipality, where you're going to be doing this, to make sure that you are covering your butt. It's like, when I was driving truck, it was driver, cover your own butt, because nobody else is going to.
So what I would do,
here's
what I would do. So you contact your local city and say, this is what I want to do. If they have never heard of you before, you say, hey, I will work with you. You can hire me as your consultant, because other people are going to be doing this. And that's what I do for my local city here, and a lot of times the city will say, they actually will recommend me because there are people who know. Like when you buy a business license, you're going to have to get a business license. It depends on where you're at, and you're going to have to say soil health. So they go, "What the hell is that?" See what I mean? But then they will start promoting you because the cities has you down as a soil health person, right? So what I do is I have arborist / soil health. Because people call me all the time for tree care, pruning. I said I don't do any pruning. I just keep everything healthy. So so the licensing aspect is very, very different from where you're at, but nobody's going to make you have a license to spray compost tea and you use organic fertilizers. They're not going to do that. In Santa Barbara, what they do is say, if you're a gardener, you have to go through a green gardening course to be certified green, right? See what I mean? So that every city may have some things like that. When they called me up and said, you need to take a green gardening course, I said, lady, did you look at my website at all? Because I can teach that green gardening course a few steps further than you would ever think about. And they said, well, gee, I guess you don't need a green gardening course certificate. So, but every place is a little different, see? But they're not going to say you need a license to spray a chemical because you're not spraying a chemical, even though technically everything breaks down as a chemical. Your biology is made of chemicals. So everything's a chemical. So you don't need to worry about the licensing aspect, but it's always good to work with the city, let them know what you're doing, and so it'll expand through the city's benefits because the city will promote you. Every city loves it when you're helping their environment. So right off the bat, I would talk to arborists and say, okay, you're having talk to the city arborist. So you're having a problem with that bunch of trees over there because they're chemicals and it's spraying it. How about if I show you what I do? Right? And the arborist will go, because I have a lot of arborists come to me and says, I got this problem. What do I do now? And they can't really change over to chemical use to non-organic use. Their whole life is, well, mainly arborists do is pruning. You're not going to do pruning unless you're good at it. Pruning is a different story, right? That you have a license for that whole thing. But if the arborists, what they do is they use chemical fertilizers, chemical pesticides. They practice AIPM, advanced. They practice IPM, integral pest management. Okay. Yeah. Which basically says you go 1 through 10. These are cultural things. It doesn't work. These are a list of chemicals you can use. So I invented AIPM, advanced integral pest management. These are the 10 things you do. If you don't do it right, go back to the first one, start over again because you're doing something wrong. You should be able to go through all these are basic cultural things. On over water, plant the right things at the right place, feed them the right kind of food. That you have to learn a little bit about pH levels. All kinds of different soil structures. The basic stuff that you learn. I recently took an arborist test and I came really close to passing it. I took it a long time ago. It's mainly how safe way of using chemicals. Now they're broken up into cultural things. And I got really, really close. And I'm studying again because the things that I failed in would be like, okay, so you're going to climb this tree. What kind of rope knot would you use when you're cutting, right? I go, okay. Where do you hold the chainsaw when you're cranking it? You hold it between your legs, you put it on the ground. I said, well, you definitely don't hold it between your legs. Well, that's where you're supposed to hold it. So these are things that I never do, right? So I miss on those things. So I have to basically go through it. It wasn't, the chemicals was real easy because they used to say which chemicals would you use. Now they're saying, well, they're saying basically, at what speed can the wind be blowing if you're going to be using chemicals? And I would say, I'm not using chemicals, and I would just leave that alone because if you answer, I'm not using chemicals, they'd say that's wrong. But if I left it alone, then it's not exactly wrong, not exactly right. And I would write a little note saying, no chemical use for that product and tell them what it is. So I came really close to passing. I'm going to take it again because I feel that the Arborist Society has come a long ways, understanding more biology. They rarely talk about soil biology. It's just a few things about it, the different layers. I learned that the soil has different layers of different biology lives in different layers. They don't say that, but they say these are different layers. They do say these are microorganisms here that do this, microorganisms. So you want to get really good at, if you're already a good gardener, you already have half the battle because you can tell when something's wrong. Oh, that's this disease. Nowadays, you take your hammer, point it at it, and go, oh, that tree has this disease. You don't look and see what everybody's doing. You're going to say, well, it has the disease because it's a trace mineral deficiency. You're going to immediately say the tree's not getting all the food it needs. So I have to make sure that the soil's working, and I got to make sure that, so you get those things down together, and you get really, really good at it, because what will happen is people will hire you. And as you get better, more knowledgeable, more known, you can charge more and more and more for your service. I was going to say that I can give you some ideas of what I charge in Malibu to blow your way. So the one with 600 trees, I charge $2,500. And I'm there 4 hours.
Yeah.
The normal customers, I charge them roughly $1,500, and I say they're not normal. They lease out multi-million-dollar homes. I have about, on one of my hoses, what I'll do, if I had planted this, I could actually show you some locations. And this one lady has a top of a hill all the way down to the ocean, and I have 5 800-foot hoses hooked up together to be able to get to that place. And I still got to go down to the bottom and do the rest of it in the bottom. And that's and I do her place twice. I do it $1,200. I do a pest control service. My pest control service is basically spraying more biology. But when she called me when it had whitefly. She couldn't breathe, major whitefly problem, water everywhere. She spent $300 or $500 a month on watering on her water bill, right? Yeah. Man, how you doing? And so I had to go through that. The biggest problem is going to be their gardeners, what they want to do. I took away the watering key, and they said, no, you got to water more because it gets really hot. You have to water more. Well, what's the last time you had? I brought 100 bags of compost, put it down in one area. The whiteflies was gone in 6 months, because I also put it on a drip system, and she has a whole property filtration system, which is I've discovered a really inexpensive one that you can use. So that was the process. And so now I go there once a month, and I spray everybody with my liquids. Basically, it's the same thing, except it's not as strong, and it has more of the wood vinegar in it. Sometimes I'll go to the store and buy like 20 bottles of cold brew coffee, organic cold brew coffee, vanilla organic cold brew coffee. They're like that. And it makes like 20 gallons of water. I would dump those 20 bottles in 100 gallons of water to where you spray. And then I also buy 10 gallons of organic whole milk, not the with the fat, because I want the fat, right? And dump those in there. People will go, coffee, wow, yeah, sugar, yes, here's some molasses. Throw the molasses in there. So basically what I was spraying is a biology made from the coffee, from the milk, right? The bacillus, whatever is in their milk, right? And
lactobacillus,
and then the molasses. Granny Smith's molasses is my favorite because it's really rich in iron, right? Rich in a bunch of other things, and that's why I would spray to, and the whitefly cyst can't handle. And of course, I learned not to add the vinegar at the same time you're doing that spray, because certain things don't mix really well. Yeah. So I when I first started there, I was actually buying a bamboo vinegar from China, which was illegal. That's how I met Michael Widman, because I would buy it from him. He says, look, I can't sell this anymore, but I have a friend that's making it. And I think that bamboo vinegar, it's better because it's made from bamboo, and bamboo is a very unique product, different than wood. That's my theory. Because the Chinese have been doing it for centuries, and they learned this. So you can take. So if you're keying into pest control, you really have to feed first. And then deal with some of the things with pest control. Milk by itself, it's an amazing control. Calcium, because remember, drink your milk for your calcium. Well, calcium is very important for pest control. Believe it or not. So if you do the milk, coffee, cream, and sugar, which is really a very good mixture, because that coffee is acidic. If you think about it, it's acidic, and milk is alkaline. So you have the two together, and you end up with this really good. When you spray, you'll see the coffee and the cream on the leaves, and the whiteflies just do not know how to deal with that, because the biology is too overwhelming for them. And also they're going to get a big shot of calcium and a big shot of the molasses with sugar rush. The plants are to get it, but it doesn't do anything to the soil. So then you have to learn to inject. No, you do not inject coffee, cream, and sugar into the soil. That is not going to work for you. Right? You want to do it to the leaves. So what you inject in the soil will be your tea. The tea that you make from your compost, that's what goes into the soil. Ideally, you want to put the compost down as soon as you can into the soil, blend it in, because it'll take a while for that compost to start working its way through the biology to start growing, and then you're feeding the biology in the compost. So that's your key. So you can say pest control, and that triggers all the businesses, the cities, and you're a pest control operator, you need a pest control license. So as long as you don't promote it as a pest control service, because they'll say we don't care, as long as you're killing bugs, it's the pest control company, you need a chemical license, and they could do that. So you just have to say soil care, and when somebody calls you for ant control or any of those things, you say we're going to take care of the soil, and the soil will take care of these problems. But
now, Andy, like I know you were talking about Michael Whitman there, and you're also talking about the watering, and he has those filters. When you go to your customers, do you show them that type of filter and say, like if you buy this, I can get you a discount? Have you set that kind of thing up with people? Is that a good idea for people, in this business to have those types of connections?
It really depends on you and to the degree that you want to do all this stuff, because you could literally go, when you go to a customer, say, I'll sell you this water filter. As a matter of fact, here's a company I work with, can do an affiliate program with this company for the whole property filtration system, and you can make some extra money that way as well, selling. And what I did was, what I do now here, I sell other people's compost, and I make a little bit of money off of that. Michael will love it if I have their filters here and sell it to the company, to people to do it. I learned from experience that the person, it's better if they get to go out and get I'm not into making the money off of it's a little change, all these things, right? I make enough from the service. My goal is buy the compost at that price. You deal with that customer, buy the filter from them, right? Or wherever. And that's fine, as long as you get that. I don't want you to buy it from me so I can make a few dollars here and a few dollars there.
So, Andy, would it be a good idea to put out a sheet of paper, and having a listing of companies' contact information, and for a new customer, here, take this. These are all the things that you need on your property.
Exactly right. So when I first go to a customer, I talk to them and I say, okay, I'm going to be giving you a report. Okay, so that's what they pay. They pay $200 an hour for me to tell them this is what's wrong with your property. These are some of the things that I would do, and these are some things you're going to have to do. So you're going to have to get this water filter hooked up to your hose. You have to if you get the whole property water filter system, you don't need the filter for the hose because it's the whole property filter out. It's only $2,000 as opposed to $10,000 or $20,000 for the whole property filtration system. I think we had him on our show as a guest here.
Yeah, Michael.
Yeah. And so, and then I also write
Blue Sky Biochar. Is his company's Blue Sky Biochar. Right.
So I do write a list of things. This is where you get this from. This is where you get that. This is what I want you to use. In the beginning, I would say go out and buy compost. Now I say no. This is the compost you have to buy. This is the product you have to buy. Don't leave it up to them, because they will go out and buy the cheapest thing they can find. I go, no, that's not going to work. So if you tell people they have to eat really good food and they go out and buy whatever food they want and they expect it to work, no, you have to say, this is what you have to do. So you have to be very specific. So I write a little report. I take a picture when I go there and I put it in my a newsletter, and I send them an email of it so they can see that. Yeah. My experience is they don't usually follow that. I go, wait a minute. So that's the hardest time, getting these people to do stuff and to buy this compost, to do this stuff, and then they complain, how come it's not working? Well, here's a written thing that I told you to do. Did you do any of these things? A lot of times they don't do that. So I said, look, I have better things to do. Have a nice day. Because people have to be part of the healing process. They have to buy the right compost. They have not just junk compost or other, right? They have to stop with the chemical company, pest control company. They have to be active in this process. And then you can't just say, I'll leave it up to you to figure it out. No, you have to tell them what to use.
Yeah. Now, okay, we're going to get one last question in here from Shawnee. And guys, just to let you know, Shawnee has me on her show on Friday. And let me just get the link. I got to scroll all the way up to the top, but it's on Shawnee Grows channel. Let's see, there it is. There's a link. So if you, it's at the very top of the live chat, guys. So make sure you go to Shawnee Grows channel, and her next live stream has me on Friday. But we'll get back to that question.
Yeah. So here's what I use. There are many different software on the market. There really are, and I'm not going to promote any specific one, even though I'll tell you what I use. It's called QuickBooks. Easiest thing you can do. They invoice. You can invoice the customer. You can tell them I use credit card. I use Zelle. I use whatever way of payment. And any bookkeeper can keep. You can do it yourself. I have a lady, a bookkeeper. She goes through the whole process, gives me a profit and loss statement. Absolutely amazing. But I know there are lots of other companies out there. All I can talk to you about this one that I use. It's called QuickBooks. It's actually QuickBooks Online. To tell me, Andy sent you, I get 20%. No, but basically that's the one I would use. Very, very simple to use, and you don't have to worry. And ideally, you should have some knowledge of bookkeeping. But or you can hire somebody that inexpensive for you that uses it. I have a lady that uses QuickBooks, so I've been using it for 30, 40 years now. Easy peasy. And plus that, that's what I would do, but you can look it up. But you're going to find lots and lots of bookkeeping programs out there, and I don't know. I'm sure there's some better ones and more expensive ones, but I like this one company, and I'm not going to go away from it. So what are we doing next week? You don't know?
I'm not too sure. I know that, as I said, Friday I'm on with Shawnee, and that's 8 p.m. Central, so 7 p.m. Mountain, 6 p.m. Pacific. Then on Monday, Leighton's going to do a special. He's going to go over what brought him, basically his history that brought him to this understanding where he's at now, the trials and tribulations of life that brought him here, just like I've had the trials and tribulations that brought me here. He's going to be going over that on Monday.
What time is that?
That's at 2 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Mountain, 5 p.m. Eastern. Also, this coming Monday, I'm going to be starting to do a daily show. Probably it's going to be at 1 o'clock Mountain, so noon Pacific. I'm going to try to do every day, do a little bit of something for you guys, and it's going to help promote the channel. Also, that's why I'm asking for you guys, if you have some time, some spare time, I need some volunteers to go out and look for people that have different channels, that have different knowledge, that resonate with It's All About the Biology, and help me to find the people for guests. So, if you have a couple of hours a week that you could go on to YouTube, find different channels, homesteaders, gardeners, etc. Small channels, are preferred. I'd like to showcase smaller channels, but I need help with this. So if you guys have some time, reach out to It's All About the Biology at gmail.com. Send me a note. Let me know that you have time and that you're willing to do this, and we'll get something set up. But I could really use you guys' help on this. So love you all. Andy, I'll give you the last word before we end the stream.
So guess what? I'm doing a daily myself. Ken here talked me into doing a show, whether it be a half hour, 5 minutes, or every day. I don't know what time it's going to be. Just go up to my website, sign up for the YouTube there, and you'll get notified. The newsletter will help you. And if you want the free ebook, you have to sign up for the newsletter. That way you will see when my shows are starting. And I have to continue this because it's so fascinating for me. And I know there are lots of people. I would love to see thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people do it in the soil health business. The more people are in the soil health business, the better it's going to be for the planet, for all living creatures on the planet. Take care, everybody.
Peace out, everybody.